मैं तो दिल्ली में रहता हूँ और रेडियो फीजी बहुत रेडियो फीजी रोज सुनता हूँ.
रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की धड़कन.
Good evening, Fiji. In this bulletin, 35 tests return negative. Nambour residents welcome lockdown removal. And 28 arrested for COVID-19 breaches.
From the studios of FBC Suva, Jackie SPEIGHT.
Another 35 COVID-19 tests were carried out overnight, all coming back negative. With 4 active cases remaining, the Health Ministry says Fiji can't afford to become complacent, given that many countries are reporting a resurgence in coronavirus cases. Kritika Kumar reports.
Lifting of restrictions does not mean that life will go back to normal. Limitations will remain in some places.
We still have to make sure that we practice what the new normal in terms of social distancing. At the moment, there are restrictions on mass gatherings, and these are restrictions that have been put in place to make sure that we don't have a re-emergence of the disease.
The government is making sure that restrictions are only lifted when the country is disease-free.
What we see is that some countries had the initial onslaught, and then after that, with the lifting of restrictions, there was a re-emergence of the disease. So far, since the lifting of some restrictions, we haven't had the re-emergence of the disease, and we hope that we will be like that.
The ministry believes ending the disease will require a sustained effort from individuals, communities and the government.
What we do know is that the virus may take some time to be able to shed itself from the human body in those who have the disease. And that's why after 31 days we test them to make sure that when finally they are released, that they are free of the disease.
The Muslim League settlement in Nambour Suva and the Sawa settlement outside Lambasa came out of lockdown yesterday. Vunidagi settlement in Dreketi with just over 20 houses remains in lockdown. Kritika Kumar, FBC News.
Families at the Muslim League settlement in Nambour Suva are still taking precautions after coming out of a month-long COVID-19 lockdown yesterday. The settlement was isolated on April 1st, deemed a high-risk area, after a family of 3 tested positive for the coronavirus. Venina Rakautonga has more.
Residents still have their guard up, although the lockdown has been lifted yesterday.
We are just maintaining a 2 meters social distance, and we were keeping washing our hands with soap and water, and also a social gathering, not more than 2 people here.
We are still following the instructions given by the Health Ministry. I always tell my family members we will always have to follow the directives. We have to keep washing our hands till everything has been relaxed.
A hairdresser and her daughter who live in this settlement are still COVID-19 positive and are in isolation at the Navua hospital. Living in the confined area for more than 3 weeks took its toll on the residents. Challenges that they tried to overcome with what little resources they had.
Like most of the people here suffered, right? We really see the people are suffering here because what happens, like it was a sudden lockdown and nobody has enough to eat at home and stuff. Like most of the people, they were craving for food and stuff.
Once the all clear was given at about 8 a.m. yesterday, the first order of business was some much-needed grocery shopping.
Yesterday, when the lockdown was lifted, we were like prisoners going out for the first time in a long time, since we had been told not to go anywhere. But when it opened yesterday, we all went out. Some went to visit their relatives, some went to Mbao, and I went to town to get fresh food in Ndalo. We're also thankful that we followed all the instructions until yesterday.
A police blockade and yellow tape that mark the confined area have since been returned, marking the return to some form of normalcy for people in this settlement. Venina Rakautonga, FBC News.
The Reserve Bank's attempts to revive the economy have been welcomed by one of Fiji's leading economists. Dr. Rohit Kishore says injecting more money into exports is the right move, but commercial banks must ensure that easier terms are available to businesses.
$300 million from the central bank is being channeled to exporters, large-scale farmers, public transportation and renewable energy businesses.
What is the lower interest rate and how the commercial bank comes, how easily commercial banks facilitate this loan facility to the export, which are most needing. We have to regenerate our exporting.
Many banks have introduced measures to ease the financial burden on customers, and the Reserve Bank funding must also be offered on concessional rates. However, Dr. Kishore points out that repayments have to start coming in eventually.
Credit is a credit, a loan is a loan, needs to be paid, needs to be repaid. And where is that capacity? How quickly the businesses are going to build that capacity to start doing businesses, make enough revenue for them, and repay this accumulated credit?
Experts around the world agree that economic activity will not pick up in the short term. Banks and businesses must be prepared to work together to see this through.
What's the deal with credit? It needs to be repaid. And when you are not growing the economy, when you are not growing your business, when you're not trading, you're not selling, you're not making money.
Reserve Bank Governor Arif Ali has also stated that low economic activity in Fiji will likely persist until risks from the health crisis are resolved. Edwin Nunn, FBC News.
Police made 28 arrests for COVID-19 breaches in the last 24 hours, 22 for breaches of curfew. The Western Division recorded 10 cases of breach of curfew. The Southern Division had 6 breaches of curfew and 6 people playing sports. 4 students aged between 11 and 16 years were found playing touch rugby, with 2 adults aged 19 and 21 years in Vicinda. Police Commissioner Brigadier General Sithiven Ngilio says it is never easy to see young children taken into custody, and parents and guardians need to know the whereabouts of their children at all times. The Northern Division recorded 5 cases, all for breaches of curfew, while the East recorded 1 arrest. No cases were recorded in the Central Division. The Fiji Higher Education Commission is currently carrying out its first ever National Graduate Outcomes Survey. Communications Officer Ipineri Rawalai says the survey is a priority in developing links to employment. Sainiani Boiler reports.
The survey will provide an important measure on the effectiveness and performance of the government's investments in higher education.
Trying to capture the perspectives and current status of recent graduates. This is more of a social survey. Other countries like Australia and New Zealand have been conducting it for some years. This is first for Fiji, and I think Fiji is also the first in the Pacific to be conducting this survey.
The findings will also influence future policy decisions in terms of education. At least one higher education institute has welcomed the survey. That the Wilebu Theological College, which is registered with the Fiji Higher Education Commission, says it will be beneficial not only to the institutions but to graduates and upcoming students as well.
Yes, because we have already been discussed this with the FIJI, and it has really helped us in our way forward, and also for our vision and mission and what the Wilebu Theological College values, especially to the call of the church.
The Graduate Outcomes Survey is funded by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade New Zealand. Due to COVID-19 restrictions, the FHEC is conducting the survey online via its website. Sainiani Boila, FBC News.
Up ahead, SAWANI slip causes problems, and security cameras in PRB lots.
Go prosan garse, go erkraki. The television on Radio Fiji 1, nandomo ibiti.
Radio Fiji 1, nandomo ibiti.
The Fiji Roads Authority is concerned that if another cyclone hits, a portion of the Princess Road in SAWANI may be lost for good. Floodwaters during TC Harrell severely damaged the road, which collapsed into the Waimanu River. Kritika Kumar reports.
The FRA and the Waterways Ministry have a design to reinstate the slip, but needs emergency funding to get work started.
Right now we have around 4 metres of separation between the slip face and the traffic surface. That's as close as I want it to get, no closer than that. So that's an imperative for us right now.
Traffic has been reduced to single lane for now. Engineers fear that debris floating in the river could also undermine the safety of the road.
If we get more very heavy rain that causes the river to rise to even half its normal, twice its normal level, then it could have an issue on the undermining of the road. If we get another cyclone coming through, then yeah, that could be very severe.
The FRA has also installed a few streetlights to provide adequate visibility at night. The public is reminded to adhere to the traffic light signals to prevent any incidents. Kritika Kumar, FBC News.
The Public Rental Board has installed CCTV cameras in its flats to enhance their security. Housing Minister Pramila Kumar says this has been because some tenants have been found engaging in illegal activities such as selling drugs. Kumar says this makes other residents feel unsafe. She adds the government is subsidizing the rent for some of these tenants and expect the families to not engage in illegal activities.
And we are trying to have more of these CCTV cameras, etc., in these public rental flats, just to give security and provide safety to people living in these flats.
Turning overseas, more than half of America's states are starting to reopen after weeks of lockdown, but it's proving divisive. Amid record job losses, many want to reignite the economy, but others fear a second wave of COVID-19 infections. The coronavirus pandemic has brought out the best of Fijians in recent weeks. There are numerous tales of people going out of their way to help those who've lost their jobs, providing groceries for an entire family or essentials for a newborn. In tonight's Successful Fijian segment, we speak to a man who's taken out time to help those suffering mentally and psychologically, and he's doing it at no cost. Venina Rakautonga with the story.
With 10 years of counseling experience, Lionel Rogers felt he needed to do something in light of the COVID-19 crisis, and what better way than to put his skills to use.
I do pro bono counseling for Youth Champs for Mental Health, a youth-led organization that's focused on suicide prevention and mental health. We've been running since 2008, and we provide community awareness and education as well as counseling in the community.
As hundreds lost their jobs, families struggled to put food on the table, and others had to live with social restrictions. Rogers has counseled dozens of people, giving them peace of mind and strength.
With the COVID-19 pandemic, there were a lot of people facing anxiety, mental health struggles because they were placed in isolation. And in Fiji, we have a culture of community, of being together, social connections, and having this very new disease come or new virus come into Fiji and having everyone isolated, having the curfew, a lot of people were facing distress. A lot of people lost their jobs, hours reduced.
Rogers doesn't work alone. He and his team at the Youth Champs for Mental Health have faced tough times themselves.
Like all non-governmental organizations, funding resources is a huge challenge, but we try to work around that using innovative methods such as social media platforms to discuss mental health and suicide. Although there is a limited number of mental health professionals, there are services such as ours who reach out to young people and tell them, space is available, you can talk to someone, you don't need to struggle alone.
With no end in sight to the economic impacts of COVID-19, Rogers says he is committed to helping as many people as possible, even if it's just a listening ear.
What started off as a little try turned out into 40+ counseling cases. That was over the last week.
People who need counseling can reach out to Rogers and his team via their Facebook page from the comfort of their homes. Venina Rakautonga, FBC News.
In sports after the break, Bill Beaumont re-elected as World Rugby Chairman. And Baber stresses importance of fitness.
My name is Neha and I'm from Kadavi. And Mirchi FM, it's hot.
Mirchi FM, it's hot.
Sir Bill Beaumont has been re-elected as World Rugby Chair, beating Augustin Pichot during voting, which took place over 3 days. Fiji Airways national men's sevens coach Gareth Baber has stressed the importance of players maintaining fitness during this period. With the remainder of the HSBC 7 series to be held in October, fitness will be key in not only making the final squad, but for consistent performance in the circuit. Tale Matairakula with the story.
Given the uncertain nature of the COVID-19 pandemic, players are urged not to lose momentum on training.
You know, any forms of exercise or work that they can do, which is physical, is going to help them.
Baber says a training program has also been set out for the players.
We've provided them with programs themselves, which they're getting on with daily, and part of that is strength, but part of it will be some conditioning elements as well.
Fiji Rugby Union Chief Executive John O'Connor says, whilst players are training, it's also important to adhere to government restrictions.
At the moment, I think organised sports is still not allowed by the ministry, and we urge our players to comply with the requirements.
Players are required to send in video evidence of their training, not only to make sure they are following the program, but also to show they are abiding by the rules in place. Tali Matirkula, FBC Sports.
Fiji Under 15's captain Serima Lewaningila is urging fellow players not to lose focus. With the COVID-19 pandemic leaving a cloud of uncertainty on the future of next year's Rugby World Cup, Lewaningila says the players should continue to play their part. The Madhuwata lass says the pandemic and closure of sporting facilities should not be an excuse for players to disregard training.
We have to meet those fitness standards, and like for most women, rugby players, we still have that laid-back mentality to just go with the flow.
Brighton Football is not in favour of holding the remainder of the Premier League season in neutral stadiums. And in today's weather, it was showers experienced over parts of the country. Now, taking a look at the map, looking to the west, showers and thunderstorms persisted throughout. And eastwards from Pacific Harbour to Suva, no surprises, it was periods of rain in most places. Brief showers are forecast for the evening. And looking up north, more rain in the major centres. At sea, southeast winds 15 to 20 knots, gusting to 25 knots, moderate to rough seas, moderate southeast swells. Turning to the tides, the next high tide is at 3:31 tomorrow morning, with low tide at 9:42 a.m. Sunrise is at 6:21. Now, for tomorrow, it's cloudy with some showers and possible thunderstorms over the eastern parts and interior of the larger islands. Elsewhere, cloudy periods with afternoon or evening showers. And our further outlook, we're looking on to Tuesday. Again, cloudy periods with brief showers over the eastern parts and interior of the larger islands. It's elsewhere fine apart from possible afternoon or evening showers. Recapping the main stories for tonight, 35 COVID-19 tests in the last 24 hours returned negative. Nambour residents welcome lockdown removal. And 28 arrested for COVID-19 breaches. Now for these stories and others, tune in daily to our sister radio station Gold FM. Our poll question this week we're asking, is the timing right to relax the curfew hours and resumption of domestic sea and air travel? Visit our FBC website to answer. And you can send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email fbcnews@fbc.com.fj, via Facebook page FBC News, our Twitter page at FBC_news or hashtag FBC News. And that's it from the news desk this evening. From the team and I, have a safe and enjoyable evening and a blessed new week ahead. Good night.
I'm Miri, I'm from Lotoka, and I love Gold FM because they play all my classic hits.
Gold FM, only the classic hits.